Welcome everyone to Automation Airwaves, where we are tackling the strategic automation. Episode 4 and automation anxiety and cultural roadblocks
That's
is
a mouthful.
It really is a mouthful. It's one of the stall points that we discussed in the global IA market report in the H2 2018. This one's really exciting for us as this has been kind of a really big lessons learned, I think, for everyone that's really in this automation journey as we kind of really have gone on. Today I am your host, Scott Teeple, and with me is Sheila March. She has been with Agilify since the beginning and has a lot of experience helping us through culturally, through CX, through the understanding of the overall journey itself. So welcome for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Absolutely. So as we look in, as we dive into the topic itself, the automation anxiety, cultural robots, what exactly does that mean? As we haven't really went into a lot of detail. So if you
Sure.
just share kind of what that means to us.
Yeah, well, I think with a lot of automation programs, sometimes the human side of it can be not necessarily forgotten, but maybe left out in the beginning. There's a lot of focus on, how can this automation improve the tasks? How much money can it save? How much time can it save?
Focused on ROI.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Focused on ROI. And a big part of that, though, in realizing the ROI is the adoption of the automation, right? So you still have to remember the people that are going to be using it and managing it. And I think a lot of times programs can hit a stall point just due to the fear around automation, the automation anxiety, as well as just the culture when it's not necessarily communicated with a lot of transparency, and there's not a message of what's in it for me as the person using the automation.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was the person using it, or the people that have to manage it too. It's a different way of doing their work every day.
Yeah. So when you say automation anxiety, what have we seen as far as anxiety? Like how would somebody identify? Oh, I may be coming into the stall point of anxiety.
Ooh, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
So, anytime there's a change in an organization, right, there's always going to be fear or anxiety that goes with that, just because this is a little bit of the fear of the unknown. You hear in organizational change management and things like that, people tend to resist change. And a lot of it is just because they like what they're doing. They know what they're going to come into work every day for. But when you say, hey, we're going to automate your job, they don't necessarily know what that means. And in some cases, I've talked to, kind of end users, processors who, when they first heard about it, they just didn't know what to think, because they were like, well, that's what I do every day. Now you're going to change that?
Yeah.
And that's really personal for people too, right? So when you start thinking about the human side of it, you're changing their livelihood.
Yeah, it's kind of almost an attack at their livelihood, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's a personal pride in what I do every day.
Exactly.
And I've done it the best that I can, and now all of a sudden you're telling me that I haven't been doing it the right way?
Right.
It's like, well, what's going on, and how do I really take that? That's really great. So as we think through kind of use cases, some examples that we've really tackled, or that we've been asked to come into an organization and help them through this stall point. Is there a particular use case that stands out in your mind that you could kind of share with everyone?
Sure. Yeah, we have a client that's done quite a bit of automation with us, and in the beginning, it is kind of that story of there was a lot of excitement around the program and what this could do for us, and how if we automate these tasks, yes, it's going to take out some of the error. It's going to allow us to do the job faster and easier, and maybe not necessarily hire additional people. Now, with this particular client, they didn't have any layoffs with the automation or anything like that, but they were able to not necessarily hire people as they were growing. So it was really great. But as time went on, what we started to see was a little bit of resistance in some of the automations that were coming in, and in talking to the employees, we found that they just didn't understand. They didn't understand maybe why things are built in phases, or why we're doing this anyway, or why is their job changing. And a lot of that led to the resistance and the slowdown in the program. But once you start to develop a communication plan, and especially if thinking back, if that had been done in the very, very beginning, maybe the stall point could have been avoided.
So maybe putting program in place that's really right out front, right?
Exactly.
And not necessarily, having an overwhelming plan to tackle it from the very beginning. But as you really start looking at, okay, it's time to start scaling your program. How are we exactly going to handle some of this from a change management perspective?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Or equipping managers with the ability to have those crucial conversations with their staff, saying, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is what the organization. This is the new strategy that we have. Here's how it impacts you. This is what things look like today. This is what we're moving to." Finding out if there's any reskilling that needs to be involved, and just getting all of that out in the open in the beginning really helps to kind of soften that anxiety that people have.
That's really great, and I think those are some really great points. Is there any advice, kind of as we kind of wrap this session up? What's that one recommendation, that takeaway that you want everybody to really have as we start thinking about this automation anxiety stuff?
I think if I had to sum it up and just give one point of advice, I have lots, but I think I would just say, remember who has to use this automation, and that even if you're implementing an automation program, you still have the humans that need to use it, and the humans are still delivering your brand's experience. So keeping the human in the center of your automation program and making sure that you have an understanding of how this change and this new strategy is going to impact them is really, really important.
And would you say that that's probably why Agilify has unleashed the human potential? Right?
I think so. I feel like I set you up for that.
You probably did just set me up for that. But I really appreciate you coming in today and the dialogue. So as we kind of wrap this session up, stay tuned for more of the stall points as we walk through the global IA market report. But just as a closing, we do have a couple of fun and exciting webinars that we are getting ready to do. So if you have a chance to go out and look at the IA World Series or the HFS webinar. In fact, in the HFS webinar, we're actually going to touch how we've helped one of our customers through specifically their automation stall points. So unleashing the human potential. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.